This is Comic Geek Speak, episode 1921. Make your own damn CHEWBACCA.
Somebody should have done the sound effect. And, yeah.
There you go.
I can put it in post. At my mom's, she made rice. I couldn't avoid it. I had to go. You know, she don't cook much these days, so you got to get that Spanish rice when you can.
I was going to say it's probably not just boil a bag of rice either.
No. You know.
Wait, that shit's amazing.
Yeah, you know, she made it for Thanksgiving too. You know, like, you know, she's yelling at the plantains and spilling oil on her feet. You know, it's not like the old days. She's getting old. So you got to get that rice. Got to get it when you can. And like we're already like, we've been saying for years, we got to try to get the recipe, you know, like.
Oh, yeah.
Film, either like set up a camera and just time lapse film so that, because, you know, she's still doing the.
Just estimating.
You know, it's all estimation and it's all like, you know, the sofrito and the this and then that and the, you know, I don't know how to do any of that stuff.
Does she make her own sofrito?
You make what comes after it. You know what I mean? Like the red, it just this, the flavoring for the rice is the sofrito's part of it, and then you add all the other stuff. Like she's got like 8 pots going on a 4-burner stove. I don't know how it happens. You know, like, how does that happen? So it's like, you know, it's a whole thing. So, but that's, you know, culturally, that's the food I grew up on. You know,
well, sure.
So, like we don't want to lose that. Just like, you know, my stepdad is Pennsylvania Dutch, right? So every New Year's we do the whole hot dog and sauerkraut, and
sure.
I don't eat the sauerkraut, but
no,
the hot dog and the mashed potatoes, you know, whatever that is. I'm sure Adam knows that tradition.
Pork and sauerkraut.
I avoid that whole pitfall by having been born on that day, so I don't get no pork and sauerkraut, and I don't want none.
Yeah,
I get what I want on New Year's Day. Thank you very much.
What do you usually go for?
Spaghetti is what I usually request.
Okay.
Occasionally sausage, which is really not too far from pork when you think about it, but certainly no sauerkraut.
Yeah.
I like the flavor of sauerkraut. I will not eat it. I'll let the pork marinate in it and eat it on New Year's Day, but I scrape all the sauerkraut off of it.
I don't even want the sauerkraut touching the pork. Like as a kid, it traumatized me. It's like you would ruin a perfectly good piece of pork by having it sit in that god-awful sauerkraut. Ugh. So nasty. The whole smell, the whole house is like bile. Like, I don't understand why anybody enjoys that. It's so gross.
I was talking to Pants the other day. I was texting him the other month, I think it was. I was like driving around. I was driving around like down by Daniel Boone, and I swear that I saw a sign that they were going to have a Shady Maple down this area.
Really?
And it must have been a sign for Shady Maple on 422. Like the sign was on 422 for whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know why it would be all the way over here, but okay, fine. But I swear it said coming soon. So anyway, so I'm, you know, I said to Pants, I was like, you know, I figured maybe he might know about it, but it made me think of like, you know, we're talking about these foods that are sort of, you know, locally around here, like all the people that used to come down for any convention that we had, and they all wanted to try the scrapple, you know.
Yeah.
I've been here my whole life and I don't want to go 10 feet near it, you know.
Yeah, my dad loves scrapple. Not a chance in hell. Nope.
Not for me.
Did you see? I think I just read an article. I don't know if it was in the Inquirer or just online randomly. I think Shady Maple is the largest buffet in the United States.
I think I saw something like that.
Yeah, it's
what are the
extraordinarily huge.
In what category? That physically, you mean, or just the?
like by the amount of like food that they offer or the square footage of the building or something. I don't know.
It's like a basilica consecrated to gluttony.
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah.
Well, it is the largest smorgasbord in the USA, according to their own website.
Smorgasbord, okay.
Pork, pork, pork.
Yeah, thank you. I was waiting for that.
There you go. Cuisine Geek Speak.
And if anyone is curious, because you said the word smorgasbord, in Swedish, board is table, and smorgos is sandwich. So it's like sandwich table is like the literal translation of a smorgasbord.
I didn't know that.
I don't know how it became synonymous with
Gluttony.
a giant array of every kind of food and not just a sandwich.
Yeah.
But that's the origin of those words right there.
Nice.
The more you know.
Well, you're studying Swedish, right?
There's a lot of fun stuff in studying Swedish because so much English came from the Nordic languages, and so there's lots. I've learned so much about English because of learning Swedish, and that's like really fascinating. I think the most fun thing, and I'll just leave because this is not what the show is about, but I'll just leave this one here because I think it's funny. Is you know how some people in the U.S. will say, "Well, that'll learn you," like and it's like this folksy, like
my dad said it all the time.
Yeah. Well, in Swedish, so first of all, a lot of Swedish people moved into like the Wisconsin, Minnesota area, right? Like turn of the century or whatever. So I bet, my guess is that that's where that phrase moved out of that area, because in Swedish, the word for learn and teach are the same. So that will teach you, or you can learn this, is exactly the same. So it would make sense that a Swedish person who was trying to say, well, that'll teach you, said, well, that'll learn you. And then it stuck because enough of them said it around each other that it just made sense to them because it's literally the same word, that now it's just this cute folksy thing that people say.
Yeah.
And, but I suspect that's the origin of that.
I have learned so much in the last 5 minutes listening to this show. I feel so much smarter now. It's fantastic. I mean, really. I mean, come on. Where else get this free information?
Where else
they say comics can't teach you anything, you know?
God, damn, that's fantastic.
Well, speaking of things that can be interpreted multiple ways, did you just see the link about the latest sort of discussion about Dark Knight Returns, the cover by Frank Miller?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was your... Okay, so like the premise is that the cover, that famous cover, him and Batman in silhouette, and he's jumping and there's a lightning bolt, behind him, right?
Yep.
The new, I'll explain it after I ask this question. The new thing is that the question is he facing us or is he facing away from us? Now, without any discussion, what has always been your thought looking at that cover? Like, Brian, which way? Is he facing us?
I think he was always facing away, I think.
Shane?
That's what I think too. Away.
Adam?
I'd always thought he was facing the reader. It never occurred to me that he would face any other direction.
Pants?
I never thought about it one way or the other. The whole image looked so weird to me. Looks like he's got a claw for a cape. So I had no idea what was going on. I never really thought about it too much, to be honest with you.
Okay. And I've always just assumed it was his back,
Apparently the majority did think that, but
yeah.
I'm happy to say I saw it the way Frank Miller did.
I always thought it was jumping off a building into something, and you're seeing him jump into the adventure.
Well, it turns out there was a big discussion because somebody posted that in one of those Dark Knight galleries, those really big artist edition things. Like some are artist edition, some are galleries. There is an overlay of one of his sketches, and it's Batman facing the front with his emblem facing us, and it's Frank Miller's drawing of it, right? And then, but they decided to go with this silhouette thing instead. But he did draw it with his chest facing us, and the whole comics community, or half or whatever, just went like, "What?"
Yeah.
He's wrong.
Frank Miller is wrong, right?
That's the only explanation, right?
He was probably on a lot of drugs, and that's not actually how he drew it. I don't know.
No, I always never even doubted in my mind that it was you were seeing his back as he jumps into the adventure and the lightning strikes at the same time. Wow.
And even because that's exactly how I thought, and I still feel like that's like maybe possibly a more interesting compositional choice to have the characters back to us. Like he's, I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe when you can see him, it makes more sense to him facing forward. But when you only see the silhouette, maybe it's more interesting that he's jumping away. But then I looked at the picture like for a while, and then I was like, oh shit, then my eyes were going weird because I'm like, I see him forward, I see him back, I see him forward, I see him back. I can't understand now it's ruined forever because like I think I always just thought it was one way, and now I don't know which way it's supposed to be.
Meanwhile, it's been interesting for me to learn that it does work both ways, both that whether a front or back view. It's just interesting to learn that that the majority has perceived it the opposite to what I've always thought it was.
Pants, are you studying it, Pants?
Well, I was researching that back in, I think, after June of last year, June of 2022, the original art for the cover, #1, sold for over $2 million. I was just seeing if there's anything in the description that mentioned anything about that, or the overlay was available, but no, it's just the original art. So I thought that was kind of, well, first of all, I was curious it went for $2 million, but
and as my dad would have said, for these cute colloquialisms, that half of us are at least bass-ackwards from the other half.
The original art still has him in silhouette, right? It's him in black.
Oh yeah. It's the it's all blue
out
with the lightning strike going down, and it's all black there. But yeah.
And then, so what was so interesting about this is I actually was thinking about this a while ago because this cover people have done homages to it, endless, right? So I think it was last year or whenever it was, there's a publisher named AWA, which stands for like artists, writers, artisans, or something like that. And there's several people that we used to know from like maybe like higher up at Marvel. They now run that company or something. J. Michael Straczynski writes some books out there. Mark Russell, some other people. Anyway, they did a cover spoofing this by Mark Texiera, and it's called Knighted with a K, Knighted. And but the image, you see the person, and it is the person's front, the character's front facing us. And when I saw that, I was like, oh, that's interesting. So then when this discussion came out, I remember that cover. I started to look for other covers. There's a Darkwing Duck cover from like a San Diego. It does the same thing. It's his front facing us. And then there's like a toy that's based on this image with the front facing us. Not a toy, a statue, which sort of makes sense, right? You don't want to look at the back of a statue, you want to look at the front. And then like other things I was thinking about, like I would assume Batman is right-handed. So if you're about ready to go lay a punch on somebody, you'd be your right arm would be back, and you wouldn't be like I'm right-handed. I can't punch with my left hand like that. That feels weird. So I was like, okay, there's maybe another thing. And then a lot of people online were saying, well, it is called Dark Knight Returns, not Dark Knight Runs Away, So like if he's returning, he's coming to you, And I was like, okay, whatever, So what a fun, kind of remind. It was like, look at Twitter. We're all being nice to each other, right?
Yeah,
it's great.
Civil conversations.
Nobody's yelling at each other. We're all trying to figure it out. We're wondering, like Pan says, why is his cape like that? Yeah, it makes sense. So
it's kind of amazing though that he like accidentally made a completely reversible image.
Yeah.
Essentially, right?
Yeah.
Like he fooled millions of people over the last 35 years or whatever,
And I don't ever remember hearing it come up before really in major discussion.
No.
Yeah.
It's just, hey, that's the cover to Dark Knight #1. Okay, great.
Now
Yeah,
I want to know how many times this discussion happened in comic shops across the world.
Prior to this, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because like I said, there are covers out there that spoof this, that totally do it the way that it was originally sketched out to be. And I just assumed, that's sort of taking liberty with it, right?
Yeah.
But,
Wasn't there another one not long after the first issue actually came out? The Dark Nat Returns, GNAT.
Batman. Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
So I wonder, I don't remember I'm sure they spoofed it, but I don't remember what that cover looked like either.
Or Nat Rat. That's right. It was called Nat Rat.
I think it was, he was getting electrocuted. So he's getting electrocuted, but he is facing us. Yeah. And I've collected a few of these. Like Archie did one with Kevin Keller. There was a WWE comic from Boom Studios that I like collecting. There's only a few that I like. I'll collect
Crisis 7.
Definitely. New Teen
Justice League
Titans.
1.
I get a few of those. Yeah, you get them. Yeah, and there's been a couple just recently too.
I know I can't find the Fire and Ice one. It's irritating me.
Oh, I think it was a.
It was a incentive.
Yeah.
Right.
Bullshit crap one.
Yeah, but there's also like a Darkwing Duck one. One of the new Dark from Dynamite, they did one, and somebody else did one. I can't remember. But the Dark Knight Returns, I do collect those for some. I don't know why. Who am I going to show it to?
Us.
Maybe now I have an incentive to. It's like, which way is he facing? Tell me. Oh, that was fascinating. Like I said, we haven't had a good comic book conversation like that in a long time.
And like you said, one that's fun that doesn't have everyone screaming at each other.
Yeah. Pants, talk about that toy show you went to.
The toy show?
The toy.
Me at the Berkshire Mall?
Yeah.
Oh my God, I was in it.
Did you hear about this, Bryan?
So, okay, this past weekend, December 1st through the 3rd, there was, I think it was called like the Berks Toy Show held at the Berkshire Mall. And I looked at the website just like you did, Peter, and, to get a vendor table there was like $100, and like they didn't provide the tables. It was like, well, it was kind of a weird, sketchy thing.
It was just the space, right?
It's just a space, basically. I mean, you could buy tables and chairs.
You could buy the air.
And I wouldn't have even gone to it had I not needed to go to the nearby post office where I'm missing on Saturday. So I thought, I'm here at the Berkshire Mall, right? Let me just go to see what's there. Well, first of all, as many malls across the country, in December before Christmas, it was like dead. Half the stores are gated up. But yeah, so you walk around in the center part of the mall, there's just, these tables of people. It's like a indoor flea market, basically. I mean, a lot of people selling pop figures, wrestling figures, die-cast cars. And, I think I saw a few He-Man toys that might have been from the 80s, but I didn't see a whole lot of others that would even made me stop from walking around. So it was, I'm glad I didn't go there just to go there and look for toys.
Yeah.
I just, it was just okay. Hey, at least there was something in the area, I guess. But gosh, because I considered, well, maybe I should set up there because I have just a house full of toys I want to get rid of. But I think there's better options for me than that.
Yeah.
When I went to RetroCon, I went just for the day and I went for a few hours. I got home and I'd found a couple things that I was looking for, but it wasn't a whole lot of what I would consider vintage stuff. And I said something to Carly. I'm like, yeah, it was a lot of 90s stuff. And she stopped me after like a few minutes of me prattling. She goes, well, that is 30 years ago now. And I'm like, oh,
stop it.
Thanks.
Stop it.
Thanks, Carlene. That makes me feel great. So like all the Star Wars Phantom Menace stuff that I was seeing by the bucket loads, that's all vintage to somebody, but it sure isn't mine.
When was that convention?
Oh, what, August, July, something like that?
Okay.
No,
No,
it was the
September.
same
September
day
was
as
Baltimore.
Baltimore Con.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Usually early September.
Yeah.
So
It was fun. I mean, still liked it, but
wait, Pants, when you said in the center, you mean like in the main entrance, that area right there?
Well, I mean, as you're walking down the aisles, and there's a shop on the right, a shop on the left, in the middle. There's sometimes benches or like
Or
people
kiosks.
selling
Yeah.
Kiosk, thank you. Where there wasn't a kiosk, you could set up a table. And,
Got
I don't know.
Fairgrounds, Berkshire, Coventry. They used to have all that kind of stuff. Card shows, toy shows, knick-knack, flea market, craft shows, like set up like that.
Yeah, I mean, it would have been interesting had there been more foot traffic, but at this day and age, unless you're like, I don't know, maybe the King of Prussia Mall or the Mall of America, we're going to get some foot traffic.
Yeah, King of Prussia is the only one in the area I know that's even remotely active.
Yeah.
Like what I would consider a mall, and I don't even go there for anything other than the Lego store. There's nothing else that I really get.
But just the cost of it, just the cost of that was the setup. Like you don't get anything for $100, and then
that's a lot.
They if you want anything else, do they have electricity? Do they have internet?
Well, I mean, I don't know what to say about that, but yeah, and not that I was going to. Peter said, don't set up there. And I was like, yeah, I wasn't. I at least wanted to consider my options, which is, just very close by. But yeah.
It just makes me think somebody made a lot of money.
Yeah.
And it wasn't the vendors.
Well, I mean, I don't know. I was there on a Saturday around like 11, 12 o'clock, and there wasn't a whole lot of poking around just in general in the whole mall. So
how many vendors do you think there were, roughly?
Probably maybe at most a dozen.
Oh, geez. Okay.
That's even less than I thought. Wow.
That's not a lot of money then, Peter.
They're not making a lot of money.
God, I think we could set up in my garage bigger than that.
Yeah, I mean, I give them credit for trying. I don't want to knock anybody for trying something, but yeah, not for me.
Yeah,
try to keep not too negative here.
Now it's making me think like which one of those stores at the Berkshire Mall, especially upstairs, like the old arcade or maybe some of the other stores, or like where the Bonton used to be. Is there anything that's big that's comparable to the Reading Expo Center where we had Super Show? Is there anything sort of comparable in there that I wonder how much they're charging to like rent out a room to hold?
Well, I know
something.
I know, like
It'll be interesting.
the Just Between Friends stuff, which is like kids' clothes, toys, and whatnot. They would rent out the Bonton to have their events, and then they have them sometimes at the one. Gosh, what's the one gym? Kind of set up in Why I'm Missing. I can't remember the name of it. But it's a bigger venue that they would set up like that. So I know it's possible, but it's thousands of dollars. I can't imagine it's anything less than tens of thousands even.
Just because the parking is it's
ample.
It's off of highways. It's sort of, there's a lot of food stuff everywhere.
There's a hotel down the street.
Yeah.
No, not that
There's
hotel.
a hotel across the street.
People hated that hotel.
Yes, I know. I just realized that as I was driving by there that across from the Berkshire Mall is where Toys R Us used to be, where I used to work. And I forgot. Now, once Toys R Us closed, there is a furniture store in there.
Yep.
I also used to work to Office Max right next door to Toys R Us.
Yep.
After Office Max closed, there was a upscale shoe store in there. There's like another store in there now. There's an Aldi grocery store in there now where I used to work. Yep. So you're getting old when places you used to work have like rolled over twice now in your lifetime. It's like, oh my God.
Yep. And that's only been the last 7-8 years.
There's not a single original store in that 4-store strip mall from when it opened in 1997.
It was Borders.
Oh yeah, that's
Office Max, Toys R Us, and Gap.
No.
Well, then it went to Old Navy. It was
no.
No, it was always Old Navy.
Borders, Toys R Us, Office Max, Kids R Us.
Oh.
There was the Kids R Us next to the Toys R Us.
Okay. I did not know that.
This is riveting for the people at home, I'm sure.
Yeah, the whole complex opened in 97. And
how the mighty have fallen. We're talking about strip malls now. Like, God.
That's crazy. I almost wanted to go into the Aldi to see what it looked like because I used to work in the Office Max and just because I went into the furniture store after Toys R Us after it opened after Toys R Us closed. So.
Are we getting too inside baseball here?
Yeah. I'm sorry. Only people living in the immediate area will get that.
I got a little thing. So I sent Shane a link.
I didn't get to watch it yet.
The other day. This guy has to be the greatest, the biggest Star Wars fan in the history of Star Wars fans. this Japanese guy recreated the ILM Van Nuys like garage where they made all the models. So where they made the Millennium Falcon. So there's a photograph from 1976 or whatever when like, 4 guys are standing around putting parts on building the original model for the Millennium Falcon. And in the background is the shop, like that garage. And there's a shelf full of model kits because they used all these random bits from all these different model kits and just like glued them on to make the Millennium Falcon and other things. And they had like schematics on drawings on the wall and like a desk and like all these parts and things. And he literally made a space like that is like the exact replica of that garage. And he meticulously zoomed in on that photo a million times and he bought all those original model kits. And so he made a video where it's him like as a fan on the subway daydreaming, thinking, oh, I wish I could be in that garage just one day. And then he wakes up and he's in the garage and he's opening up all the boxes and like taking the things off the shelf and like opening them, being like, oh, this part's in here. Like, oh, he spent like his whole life collecting all of these things to build the ILM studio. Not a costume, not actually make the Millennium Falcon, make the model of the Millennium. It's incredible. Like the detail. I was completely blown away. I will send everybody the text. Well, yeah.
Follow your dreams.
It's called Voice of a Star Wars Fan. If you just YouTube that, but yeah.
Bryan, you might appreciate this. Something that I started to build, gosh, probably 2 years ago, and I just pushed it off to the side and never got back to it. And then I don't know why, but I had a real bug up my butt to finish it. And I finished the 1989 Lego Batmobile, that big one, that not Technic, but like large size. It took hours, but that was really cool. I've never built anything that big, a vehicle that big like that. It was really neat.
Did you see the Batcave set now that's out?
Yes, I have. It's really neat.
Yeah.
Christmas is coming.
A little bit expensive.
A little bit.
But at least that makes sense. That set makes sense because not only can you open it up and have it as a play set and do things, but you close it and it fits on a fairly standard shelf as a diorama box, which you can see inside of it. It's got a cool Batman cutout in the front. So it's really one of the more innovative sets I've seen Lego produce that actually makes sense, because how many vehicles can you have? How many ships can you have of Star Wars and just have them sitting around? But this is actually a play set, but it also is something that can be displayed very reasonably on a shelf very easily. I was impressed with how that was put together.
I wound up
Lego's doing. Oh, go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. Finish your thought, because I'm gonna go.
I was just gonna say Lego's doing a great job of like becoming objet d'art for your house, right? Like it's like you don't need, you can stop going to Bed Bath and Beyond or whatever and buying bullshit for your house. You just go to the Lego store and get flowers and stuff. Like, look, I got, well, you can't see it because I got we got orchids in the back. They're Lego orchids. Like my screen's all blurry, but
I even took we have a little coffee table in front of the one couch, and it has glass tops to it. And I took all the junk that was collected up underneath there, and I took the Friends apartment, the Friends Central Perk, the Big Bang Theory, the Flintstones, and the Scooby-Doo set I have, and I put them all under there for like a pop culture TV thing going on in the living room. And Carlene kind of looked at me and said, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "I kind of think these would look neat here. You can look down on them through the glass and see what's." I just thought it was a cool idea. I want to take them out now and put the Christmas ones in there that I have, but I haven't gotten that far yet.
Yeah. Adam, what was that little reaction about Bed Bath?
No, it's just everybody can stop going to Bed Bath & Beyond because Bed Bath & Beyond has stopped being.
That's true. That's true.
Whatever. What's that? Home Goods or whatever. Stop just buying meaningless, decorations from Home Goods, and at least you get to build them with Lego. And I don't know.
Oh, I thought it was like a Murdo Barn rivalry thing. I wasn't sure.
No. Well, we can make it that if you want. Just at least some distract.
I realized as I was saying it that somebody was going to call me out for it being closed down, but I wanted to say Home Goods and I couldn't think of it fast enough, so I could only say Bed Bath and Beyond. My stupid brain, you know.
Mhm. Is there anything this season, Adam, that's new, like that's geek related, or anything that that you're like, oh, this is cool?
It's geek related. Well, that we can get not so much, I'm afraid, because Hallmark has kind of become a bane of our existence because they've got an exclusive relationship with Disney, and Disney has, in turn, an exclusive lock on Marvel and Star Wars and Muppets and Pixar, and the list goes on. Jeez. So, as a result, Hallmark is pretty much the only corporate entity that has the right to produce Christmas decorations based on all those different families of characters and concepts. And the rest of us non-Hallmark stores are left out in the cold. Our suppliers can't get the license to make stuff based on all of geek's favorite things. So, yeah, sucks to be us. But on the bright side, it's only for ornaments. Disney has been a little looser with things like figurines and nutcrackers and light sets and so forth. So we do have some Star Wars and Marvel merchandise in non-ornament categories. But if you want a little CHEWBACCA to hang on your tree, for example, you got to go to Hallmark. We cannot help you.
Now, I don't know, could you go to like the toy store and buy a CHEWBACCA action figure, take it out of the package, put a little hook on it, put it on a tree, and charge twice as much and call it an ornament?
If the wrong people found out about it, we might get in a little bit of trouble. But yeah, certainly. Or just the man on the street could just go and buy an action figure and hang it on the tree themselves.
Well, sure. No, I know that.
Holiday hack for you there.
I'm just curious, because people at like art, markets and stuff, and craft fair or whatever. It's like people do all kinds of weird stuff at craft fairs, and it's like, well, you could make anything into an ornament.
Yeah.
Now, as an independent craftsperson, they might be able to get away with it, but we are technically a corporation here. We are Murdo's Decor Inc., and as a corporate entity, we could possibly be on the wrong end of a lawsuit if we tried to make a profit on something that somebody else made and that we didn't acquire through the correct channels, you might say. Besides which, it's just more work than we care to do. So.
Yeah, I believe
well,
that.
Sure. No, I was just curious. Like, I'm always trying to work the system,
Get a 70s CHEWBACCA figure with a rubber band wrapped around each shoulder. Just hanging on the tree.
So I was going to go back to Star Wars. I texted Shane as well a while back. I don't know why. Just on a whim, I was like, oh, you know what I haven't read in a long time? I haven't read Star Wars Dark Empire from Dark Horse, right? It came out in 1991. It was 6 issues, right? And I think the Timothy Zahn novels maybe at least
came
one.
After.
It came after? Oh, I thought it came before.
Was it 91 or 93 that they came out?
It was 91. The
91.
Those novels came out.
Yeah, so the comic,
this is the Cam Kennedy artwork and stuff, right, Peter?
Yeah. So it's Tom Veitch, Cam Kennedy, Todd Klein was your letter. Kennedy did everything, pencils, ink, colors. And it was from Dark Horse. They did Dark Empire 6 issues, Dark Empire 2, and then that was 6 issues, and then Empire's End, which was only 2 issues. And I got them off the rack because, back then that was it. That was, there were no Star Wars anything, right?
That was the first.
Yeah. And
the first since Marvel ended.
Yeah, but it was the first of a new dynasty, if you will, of the Star Wars comics.
And it absolutely sort of exploded from there. Then they were people were interested. And I remember getting them. I got all those miniseries. And then, of course, eventually I sold them through eBay. And I don't know why. I was like, I kind of want to read them again. So I, found them online. And I was like, let me read them. They don't hold up.
Oh, really?
Unfortunately, the artwork is fantastic because the Cam Kennedy artwork, and it's not even his artwork, it's what he does with the colors. He does a scene will be all just different shades of reds and different tints and shades of blue, and that part of it is amazing. Also, the fact that he can do likenesses and ship likenesses, which sounds
Yeah,
weird.
the technical stuff, right?
Yeah.
Like all the
Yeah.
crazy bits
Yeah.
on the ships. Yeah.
Looks amazing. Looks really amazing, you know. And this is before, I'm assuming, anything you could do with like computer modeling, and you know, you could probably
I
do it
would
a lot
think.
easier nowadays. You know, if you want a Death Star, just go, you know, do it up on a computer, and then you can 360 it and do whatever you want with it, right? So all that stuff, the covers, all of that, great. The actual reading of it, though, I was like, oh, at the time, probably dug it, you know, because there was nothing to compare to.
And
Yeah.
everybody talked about it. It was hot. It was hard.
Yeah.
I missed issue 3 of the first series. I had a hard time tracking that down back then.
So I think the thing that's I was struggling the most with is the dialogue didn't feel authentic. Like Han didn't sound like Han, and probably the only one that really sounded like themselves was the Emperor. So the whole premise, for people who are listening and you don't know, it's like it takes place after Return of the Jedi. Princess Leia already has 2 kids, and then she has the twins, and then she's going to have another one during this series. And the Rebels won, but the Empire has amassed like in the center of the galaxy or something, and they're trying to expand back out again. And there's these big machines, of course, because there's always got to be something that they fight that's huge, you know, that just sort of like, they're like giant vacuums. They just suck up ships and convert them into ships, like Empire ships. So anyway, so Luke is like feeling like there's a presence, and he dips into the dark side, and Leia's like, you know, we can't allow that. And then there's a whole spin. Probably the only thing that I really like, and probably the thing that stands out the most, is the introduction of the holocron and all the Jedi information.
Yeah.
Because Leia gets that, and then she learns that yes, there was a time that people with the Jedi light Jedi, I don't know if they use that word, like they would learn about the dark side to try to understand it and use it in different ways, and then of course would get corrupted and blah 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 blah. So that part of it was interesting. So you find out that the Emperor survived through clones, that he's been making clones of himself, and he puts himself into a clone that's young, but because he has the dark side, it changes him, right? It changes the clone, and then he becomes that old, disfigured thing again. And I thought that was interesting, because didn't they kind of bring that up with the last Skywalker?
Yeah, they sort of did,
or whatever that one is. So anyway, I struggled reading it. I was a little disappointed. And then in the back of each issue, there's like there's texts, writing about Jedi lore. Sometimes though, what happens is you're almost reading the same story in the text that you just read in the comic, and it's like 4 pages of text, and I'm like, oh my god, this is a little monotonous. Artwork was great though, and I'm probably still going to read on. I want to see if maybe some of the other ones maybe get better, but I think maybe they won't, you know. But I was a little disappointed, so I don't know if anybody has it.
It's a shame, because I don't have it. And I was thinking just over the last couple of years that at some point I'd like to find that and read it again, but it doesn't hold up. Yikes.
Well, I think you would
have the trade.
Yeah, I think they put it all out in one.
I think I do.
Yeah. I think anybody who might have a deeper Star Wars knowledge, you might actually get some stuff out of it, because they do throw out names. Not Luke. There's an old girlfriend of Han's that shows up in it, and I don't know if she has had any life after that. Some of the ships, you know, they introduce like a new, I don't know, E-wing or something.
Yeah.
You know, yeah. So it makes me wonder, like on that level, does some of that history mean anything to those of you who would then go on and read other things, the novels, the later things? Yeah.
And to a certain extent, I always, at that time, that first miniseries of Dark Empire was revered. Again, nothing else out there. Totally enamored with it. But I actually like the first 3 Timothy Zahn novels better than that miniseries. And I read a lot of the books rather than the comics for the first couple of years after that. There were some, like Crimson Empire was another one that I picked up comic-wise that was pretty good. I don't think it would hold up again as well. But there was a Crimson Empire 2 then as well, before Dark Horse really started with just long-standing series after that.
Yeah, because we read, I think, one of the Knights one for Book of the Month years back, and that actually was very good. I remember liking that a lot. So I mean, clearly it got better, but yeah. So it's always cool to try to go back. I was like, I want to check it out, and I was like, well, ooh, maybe not.
Peter, have you read any of the Marvel's new Star Wars stuff? It's not so new anymore now. It's been going on for several years. 5 years maybe or something.
Oh yeah, gosh, at least.
But they're really good.
Yeah,
I'm way behind, but what I've read is really, really good.
Yeah.
Well, I wanted to jump on when I think it was still under Dark Horse. I don't remember if it was like Jason Aaron that was writing it, but remember that.
Wood.
Oh, that's right. And it's when Luke had his yellow jacket.
Yep.
And I was like, I wanted to jump on then, and I never did. And then
that series was pretty good. I enjoyed that. I was sad to see that one end.
Yeah.
But the Marvel stuff is really good. I really like the Darth Vader series that first came out, especially the first 12 issues. And Dr. Aphra was really neat. Nice surprise, something newly created and very well done. Mm-hmm. Even the main Star Wars book that followed Han, Luke, and Leia's story, what I read of it, the first 30-some issues was really good. They almost had some Obi-Wan times past stories, single issues as well, that were really well done. They've done a really good job with it from anything that I've read of it.
The main Star Wars comic. So I don't know if they're in the third series of it yet, but the first series was between right after Star Wars. Then the second series was right after Empire. And then I don't know if they finished that one, if they're starting a third series yet or whatever, but I would presume it would be right after Jedi.
I would think.
So they were filling in between the movies with that series, which is cool. So if you look on the Marvel app or whatever, and you're like, why are there two series? It's well, that's why, because the one is between, and then the second one's between Empire and Jedi. So,
because I think a big part of the first one was they were searching for Hoth, a new base.
Yeah, that was a theme, right?
Yeah, they really did. I was pleasantly surprised when I first picked those up.
Yeah, I didn't really expect much, but I had to check them out, and then I was like, oh, these are good.
Yeah, well drawn, well written.
Plowed through them. Yeah. If you have the app, it's worth reading. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Does it mean anything to you that Dave Filoni got promoted? Does that mean anything?
Yeah,
it does to me. I think it's
too.
Great infusing some new life into it and giving him some more creativity to play around with. There's so much that he's been involved with, and he learned from George Lucas through Clone Wars, and he's had George Lucas back on different sets and involved in different things and just asking questions and discussions from a lot of things that I've seen and read that, I'm excited for it.
I hope that there's another Star Wars movie at some point, right? I'm very, yeah, I know they keep saying that, and then they keep canceling projects, and then they keep announcing things, and then never filming them, and so I don't, I mean, obviously sooner or later there'll be one, but I mean, I didn't hate any of the movies, right? Some I liked more than others, but the Han Solo movie was awesome. I don't know why that bombed. And it bombed because Last Jedi wasn't great, and then people were burnt out on Star Wars. But the Solo movie is an awesome movie, and there should have absolutely been Solo too. And where's my Lando movie? You got the perfect casting. Freaking make that movie already.
Yep.
What do you like? I don't know. I think they're trying for too much. They want the ultimate movie. And it's you don't have to make the ultimate movie. You just have to make a pretty good Star Wars movie, and it's great. Maybe cut the budget, but how much would it cost to make a Lando movie? I don't know. It'll be awesome.
And I agree with you, Brian. Perfect casting for that. I mean, you've got everybody set that would work really well. And that would also give you the idea that you can do with Star Wars what some don't like it, but what they did with Star Trek now in a couple different ways, where you could recast characters and they are still well done. You could recast, you've already recast Han, you've recast Lando. You can recast these people and these characters and make them good. And I think it only makes sense. There's plenty of stories that you could tell with these same characters yet. You just have to be willing to take a chance and do it well. Doesn't have to be, like you said, doesn't have to be a big budget, doesn't have to be billions of dollars to do it. Just make it good.
I mean, we're on our what, like third Kirk now? Third Spock?
Yeah.
Yep. Pants, anything to add for Doctor Who? You watching the 60th anniversary? And Shay, whoever?
So good.
Yeah. I am, yeah. As we record this, we're in the middle of the airings of the second and third special. So the third special, which is where, I don't know, stuff was supposed to happen. We haven't seen it yet.
Yep.
I'm enjoying them. I'm still trying to process everything. I've been trying to avoid as much online anything as I can, but some things still, leak through. Like apparently there's something leaked about the regeneration in the Giggle episode.
Huh?
I just saw a headline like, "Oh, keep scrolling."
I haven't seen any of that.
But I am enjoying it. In the U.S., we get to see it on Disney Plus, which is nice. The exact time it airs in the U.K., which is good. Saturday here in the U.S. at 1:35 in the afternoon. Great, fantastic. Boom, pop it on. And I haven't rewatched them yet, which I'm going to do when the third one's over. Like I said, I'm still processing this. With most things now, I don't have any expectations going in. I just want to enjoy a good story. Everything's been good so far. I guess the only thing in the back of my mind as far as expectations go is that it's hard when every anniversary seems to involve multiple doctors. 10th anniversary, you got the 3 doctors.
Yeah.
In 1973. In 83, you got the 5 doctors. In 1993, even though it was off the air, you had a special charity thing with like all the doctors that were there and the East Enders soap opera. And I've watched it online. That's cool. Of course, the 50th had the Day of the Doctor, which I absolutely loved.
Agreed.
So I guess in the back of my mind, it's like, oh, where's multiple doctors? But that's me. I'm just enjoying it for what it is right now. I'm looking forward to this next episode. I guess it's called The Giggle, I guess, which airs upcoming there. But Shane, what do you think about it?
I've been enjoying it. I mean, David Tennant was one of my favorite doctors. A lot of fun, a lot of energy. Catherine Tate's a spectacular companion. I love that they were able to bring her in and kind of have what happened to her previously make sense for continuing now. Their chemistry is fantastic. I've listened to some of the Big Finish recordings that they did in the interim years, a few years ago, and they were always well done. But yeah, I'm really enjoying these. It's a lot of fun. I don't know if it's because it can't be because it's Disney Plus, BBC still producing it, but it just looks pretty. The set, the cinematography, everything looks clean, looks well done. It looks like a grand adventure, and I'm happy to be along for the ride. I even rewatched before the first special aired, I not only rewatched the last episode, which also featured multiple doctors before Jodie Whittaker left, but also then that movie that happened during the last anniversary with the first Doctor and the actual origins of the TV show.
Yeah, Adventures in Time and Adventure in Time and Space.
Yep, I rewatched that whole
David Bradley playing William Hartnell.
And that was a lot of fun to revisit. Just that even.
I rewatched that on my Blu-ray, and of course that aired, I think, the day before the 50th anniversary originally.
Yep.
And there's a shot towards the end of the episode where you see the current Doctor at that time, Matt Smith, make a cameo appearance. Doesn't say a word. He's just there. Yeah. I don't know if you saw that they reshot that for the re-airing of it, where they added Scooty Gatwa's Doctor in there, and I thought that was great. We get to see him. He doesn't say a word. He's just there, and Pretty
See,
cool.
and that's what I kind of wanted to see if what I could find online to watch it, if that was the new version, and it wasn't. It was still the Matt Smith version. So I haven't seen the new version with Scooty taking that same place.
I think it's just that
Oh, it is
10-second
Yeah.
scene
all
they
at the end.
updated for the most recent airing. I'm going to guess in the UK and the BBC.
Yeah, but yeah, it's been cool. I've really enjoyed it. And is there only 3 or is there 4 episodes?
There's 3 anniversary specials of the 60th anniversary, the Star Beast, A Wild Blue Yonder, which we've seen, and then the upcoming The Giggle. The next episode to air, as I understand it, is on Christmas Day, which is the new first episode with the new Dr. Scooty Gatwa.
Okay.
I'm sorry I don't have the title handy right now, but I forget that. But that's coming up on December 25th. So and then I don't even know when the new series airs. Like I said, I'm trying just to stay away from things like that. I'm sure I'll come across at some point.
With so many things every now and then, and most times with new Doctors, they change the beginning credits. And this one is a lot of fun to watch. It's spectacularly done, and the TARDIS is flying all over the place. But they kind of brought back the Tom Baker era logo. In my mind anyway, what the Tom Baker era Doctor Who logo is when the title card comes up. So that was kind of cool to see too. I like whenever they incorporate old classic Doctor Who things just in a new way into the new shows. And they've done that quite often over the last, whatever it's been, 10, 15 years.
And to sort of tie this into comics, the first special, Star Beast, was based on a Doctor Who, let's see, at the time, I guess, weekly comic strip, which Russell T. Davies based the episode off of. And in the titles that Shane just mentioned, he credited the original creative team on the book.
I think they got money for it too.
Oh, because it was illustrated by Dave Gibbons, who and the writer who, gosh, I'm so sorry. As I'm looking it up right now, the writer was credited. Let's see if I can find that as I'm looking through it. Pat Mills. They got credits in the opening title screen, and I watched the behind the scenes after episode aired, where they showed that they were both actually on the set. David Tennant fanboyed out because he's such a huge Doctor Who fan and loved the comics, and he got to get him to sign his comic.
Yep.
I thought, oh, that's great. And
it was really cool.
Yeah, so that was really cool to have the comic creative team still around and still get credit for that, which is really cool.
The article I read about it talked about how they normally wouldn't have to be paid for something like that.
Right.
But Russell T. Davies made sure that they were in some capacity, and the article went on to talk about how these creators came on and saw their creations from the comics come to life. The creature that's in the episodes. Meep. It was really neat article to read. The Meep.
That's why I said Meep.
Yeah. But yeah,
it's strangely enough, I'm just going to go off on a bit of a tangent. There's a gentleman by the name of Aaron Myers, who I follow on Twitter. I don't even know much about him, but he buys and sells a lot of collections. He always posts things he picks up for like $1, $5 and things. Shortly after the special aired, he was in a local shop, and they had like a stack of original art things. He bought it all. Had original art pages by Dave Gibbons that featured the Meep on it from the Star Beast story. I'm like,
jeez,
where did this guy find these things? But that was another treat to see some original art from like the original story pop up.
Jeez.
I don't know. He must have unlimited funds because he just buys collections. And now I know most of the times he's just showing what he already has.
Oh, sure.
But then he'll say, I've been to a comic store, they gave me this, or I found this. Yeah. And then he goes to somewhere else, or he picks up another collection. And it's like, he must have a warehouse full of stuff.
And when it comes to original art, he did mention that he doesn't have a big art collector, he mentioned, but he doesn't sell any of the art he collects, which is cool. But he mentions that in the stack he bought, there's other things. There's like a a parody of Star Wars in like a cracked magazine he bought, I believe. But
Wow.
he averaged everything out. And I think he mentioned on the Twitter or X that he paid like $75 for like the pages. And Phil Hester, who in his own right is a huge art collector, a huge art knowledge guy, said, Dave Gibbons, Doctor Who pages with Doctor on it, Tom Baker,
Oh my God.
like $2,000 to $5,000.
Jeez.
He's like, I'm not selling them. So again, the whole thing, the artwork, I don't know where it popped up from, but kudos to him, and kudos that he shared it to us that we had to see it.
Yeah.
Wow.
I'm sorry, you got me started on a dark tangent again.
I was getting some of those Doctor Who comics when they were being released into the U.S. as single issues by Marvel. And then through travels, I would find a Panini collected edition every now and then and pick that up.
Yeah, it's weird the things that I have literally within arm's reach, but I'm not sure how I got this, but I have the Dave Gibbons collection of the original Doctor Who,
Oh, that's neat.
which was, I believe, recolored by Charlie Kirkhoff, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, colors by Charlie Kirkhoff. So, but again, because it's colorized, I sort of like, that's a thing that's not much I don't care for. If it was originally black and white,
Yeah.
I'll read it in black and white.
And I think the Marvel stuff, when it came over to the U.S. and they would produce it, I think they colored it as well.
Yes, but again, I haven't read
Yeah.
those comics either.
Adam, what's on your mind lately?
Just work. Yes, and
Work.
and work. Yeah, yes, Maynard, work.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not much else to say, Peter. I don't get a lot of reading done in December.
Yeah.
I'm here at the Christmas barn some 10 or 11 hours a day, and I just drag myself home
Jeez.
and do what little I can before I fall asleep. If I read anything, my nightstand reading right now is pursuant to our anniversary reread of Sandman Mystery Theater #1 a little while ago. I got the recently produced Sandman Mystery Theater Compendium. The first volume, the second one due out pretty soon if it hasn't been published already. But yeah, I've gotten through the first 20 issues of SMT that way, just reading it before bed. It just kind of seems appropriate. And also the first annual. I'm midway through the first annual. That's as far as I've gotten now with that.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm enjoying. Prior to this, I'd read like the first arc. The tarantula like 2 or 3 times, and now I finally gotten to read some of the rest of it, and it is getting better as it goes. Although I'm finding that it's at its best when Guy Davis is the one doing the artwork.
So forgive me, I haven't. It's a blind spot. I haven't read the Mystery Theater. But did you say the tarantula? Are we talking Jonathan Law?
No, we are not talking Jonathan Law. Definitely not.
Oh, okay.
Completely different. Yeah, this is a villainous tarantula.
Oh, okay.
Showed up in All-Star Squadron in like one of the annuals or something, I think.
Oh, the villain tarantula.
Yeah. Where they pulled in like it was all like the one-offs, like tarantula.
Yeah, Lightning Master and
Yes.
Catwoman in her original costume with the cat head mask. I remember that. I remember that
Yeah.
crowd scene of all the
Yeah.
rando Golden Age villains that Roy Thomas had culled together for that issue.
Yeah.
And you think the tarantula was a part of that?
I'm fairly certain. Yeah, I can look it up. There's a story arc with Hourman. I know that the Hourman shows up.
Oh, yep. I'm looking forward to that.
Rex Tyler?
Yes, that it is that Hourman.
Okay. See,
kind of skirting around the ridiculousness of the superhuman powers, because I guess superpowers and the milieu of this take on Wesley Dodds don't go together in the eyes of the creators, at least. So they try to show Rex doing his superhuman feats kind of off panel, so that it seems it doesn't string credulity in the wrong directions.
Yeah, that's a blind spot in my reading is the Sandman Mystery Theater, which I have some issues of it. I picked them in dollar beds and so forth, but I really should just add it to my list. Well, it's on the list, but the list is growing longer day by day.
Plus, I'm fairly certain there's also the Mist factors in, which connects to Starman.
Starman.
Yeah, I don't know.
I
if
have
it's
to reread
4 issues,
Starman.
it's just-
Stop it!
That's so good. I think I've read Starman through start to finish 3 times now.
I bought those like it was like 6 volumes of hardcovers like 10 years ago, and was like, yeah, I'll finally reread it. They're still just sitting on my shelf, waiting for me to read them.
I read the issues. I read those 6 volumes once, and I've read online, like I said, once or twice now. It's got to be twice. Yeah, I've read it through 4 times.
Sorry, I'm pulling up that image for Adam.
Oh, yep. There's that crowd scene of all those
Yes.
Golden Age movies. I'm guessing the guy in the orange suit and the black head mask and cape, that's the tarantula over there on the right.
The tarantula.
Green gloves. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they sure knew how to accessorize in the Golden Age, didn't they?
Well, Batman originally had purple gloves. It's all about the gloves.
Yeah.
Did.
I mean, just look at Alan Scott's the Alan Scott Green Lantern's costume. I mean, that's a colorist's nightmare. Like, what? He's got what color? It's 2 colors, one on the inside, one on the
Right.
out. What?
Lining is green, the outside is purple.
Yes.
Yeah.
Speaking of, have any of you been picking up the new Golden Age miniseries that DC's doing right now? There's a new Wesley Dodds Sandman thing, which is very much inspired by Mystery Theater. And then there's Jay Garrick, The Flash, where he's reunited with his time-lost daughter, Judy. And then there's the Alan Scott Green Lantern miniseries, which is toying with the recently introduced to continuity notion that Alan Scott is gay and always has been.
Yeah.
It's kind of a retelling of his early days just by sticking in a couple of recently retconned details. The Golden Age Red Lantern, a villain that Jeff Johns introduced and snuck into Alan's continuity through the back door, and also the idea that Alan is gay. And it shows Alan in Arkham Asylum, actually, being rehabilitated from his homosexuality. Just kind of kind of an unflinching look at the kind of horrors to which gay people were exposed back in those times.
Yeah.
I was going to ask, when you were talking about Sandman, I was going to ask if you were aware of that new Sandman. So it's got Riley Rossmo on the artwork, and it's like kind of appropriate, when you look at it. You're like, that really works.
And who was writing it? What's his name?
Rob Venditti, I think.
Yeah, Rob Venditti. Yeah. I saw it at the comic shop, and I was like, "Oh, I need to read that," because I've met both of those guys, and and I like Riley's artwork a lot. So
it might even be on the app by now, or it will be.
The first issues are.
Yeah. Speaking of fun comics that if you've never read, you should. So I went to Golden Eagle's Black Friday sale because I wanted to dig into their dollar bins. And
I was strong. I stayed away, man. I did not need more crap coming into this house at the moment.
Well, it was 5 for $10 out of the dollar bins, right? No, what was it? Yeah. No, 5 for
10 for 5.
5 for 1. No.
5 comics
Books for $1.
Yes. Pants, you remember what it was?
Well, I'm going to pull up the email I sent you there.
I thought it was, I don't remember, but maybe it was 10 for 5. I don't remember. Yes, it might have been 10 for 5.
Back issues in bins. If it was a 25-cent bin, it's 10 for $1.
That's what it was, right?
If it was a 75-cent bin, it was 10 for $3.
Yeah.
If it was a 99-cent bin, it was 10 for $5.
Thank you.
And everything, all the other books were half off.
Yeah,
but not the wall books. When I was in there the other day, I looked at the wall books, and I walked past, looked at it again. They have a wall book copy of Justice League of America, the original 1960s, #1 on the wall.
Yeah.
I was like, what? I mean, it's seen better days, but it was fantastic to see that in a comic shop, especially Golden Eagle, where, they have a lot of super. That's a key one.
I forget what he had on the price tag, but I did hem and haw over that.
$674.99.
Yeah, I couldn't figure out how to make that work.
I looked at it, but that was not part of half off sale, because if it was, it wouldn't be there.
Here's how you make it work. You find high-res scans on the internet, and you print them out at Staples and put a binder in there and have your brand new copy.
Part of my thing is, so in my Justice League collection, I have everything from like issue 40 to today. So the original issue 40 all the way to today, and a couple sporadic going backwards. But I also have all the archive volumes, which takes including Brave and the Bold's first 3 issues and number 1 goes up to like, I don't know, 107 or something, or maybe a little bit more than that. So I have readable good copies of everything from the first appearance all the way to today. So I'm thoroughly satisfied. But if
You could probably even find some newsprint to print them on, you know. Like,
right, yeah. But if I came across them at a really good price, that is not a price that I'm willing to pay. So even if it was half off, I wouldn't be.
Was it really $674.99?
I think that's what it was. Again, it was behind the counter. I just took a look at it. But again, he said it had seen better days, the copy.
Yeah.
Where's the extra penny? Come on.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what I thought I saw. I'll have to check out when I'm there. Michael, there one day this week. Then you
because somebody's like, "Oh man, I'm so glad," because if it was $6.75, I wasn't going to buy it. But it's
hey,
whatever.
That's how those kids roll today.
well, the fact that they have 99-cent bins and not dollar bins, like it's like, oh, it's so stupid because then you got to deal with all that, you know. I don't know.
But at least those prices are really cool, and that must have been a lot of fun for you, Peter, because I remember back in the day in the first comic shop I ever went to, which was called Turk's, my aunt gave me a $25 gift card, a gift certificate from there, and over the Christmas to New Year's break, he was having a sale in the 50-cent bins. Everything was half off, so it was 25 cents an issue. So I took all $25 and spent it on 25-cent issues, or maybe they were 25-cent bins and they were 10-cent issues, whatever it was. I came out with a massive stack of all Batman, Justice League, Spider-Man. Oh, it was awesome.
Good man.
It was great.
Shane, what was the Justice League issue that I gave you? That one was that?
It was 21 or 22.
It was okay. So it was.
It was one of those 2 issues.
Oh wait, no, it couldn't have been 21 because that was the JLA JSA.
It was.
I think it was 29.
Oh, 29 with the Crime Syndicate.
Because if I had that first one, I wouldn't have given you that one. But no, yeah,
it was the 29. Crime Syndicate.
Oh, and I know you're trying to get your.
I've always wanted to come visit it. I was like, oh yeah, I used to have that issue.
Yeah, you can come over anytime. Yeah, I have beat up copies of 21. I have 29, 30, and there's another JLA JSA crossover. Like, God, I can't remember the number, but I have a couple of those more early ones.
Because I think that,
but they're beat up.
Yeah, I think that was the earliest comic I ever owned, but it was only from 1964. You know, that's the only reason. But.
The oldest Justice League book I have is like number 14 or something. It's got Adam on the cover, I think, in a ball or a sphere.
Adam Murdoch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got it off eBay years ago.
He's like
really nice shape, but really cheap.
And what were you going to say?
Well, you mentioned Justice League of America issue 29, the first appearance of the Crime Syndicate. I just saw today that the opening title page will be up for auction starting on December 22nd. Crisis on Earth 3. I'm like, oh my God, these pages that come out of the artwork. The Flash, Wonder Woman, Superman, Batman, Green Lantern, Hawkman, Black Canary, Dr. Fate, Dr. Midnight, Starman, Superwoman, Owlman, Ultraman, Johnny Quick, Power Ring, all on the same page. All full figure drawn. Oh my goodness. Sorry. I'm sorry, Peter, you were talking about the back issue shopping at Golden Eagle on Black Friday.
Golden Eagle, yeah. So I got 30 issues for $11.
Wow.
Nice.
It was worth it, you know, because they were short boxes, right? They're short boxes. There was only like 5 of the 99 cents. There was maybe 10 of the 75. And the 25, I didn't find anything, unfortunately. Well, to be fair, I could have pulled more, but I really tried to I just want to get the things that are like holes in my collection. You know, a few things that, like there was a New Adventures of Superboy issue 51, which has speaking of Frank Miller, has a Frank Miller cover. And I already have it, so now I have another one, you know. It's like, okay. They're like stupid things like that. Okay. But I was like, I'm not going to just go crazy and, you know, because they were all in random orders. But anyway, so that's not bad. But then they had packs of miniseries on sale,
Oh,
and so I was looking through those, and the one that I found, and it's pretty good. I probably got all these issues for, probably half of what the cover price on these were $5, and I got all 4 for 10 or
nice.
something like that. So it's like great, okay. So it's from 1991. Speaking of nostalgia geek speak. Fabian Nicieza, Kevin Maguire, Joseph Rubinstein, Richard Starkings, Paul Mounts, really great creative team. And then later, like Terry Austin does some inking.
Yeah.
Kevin Maguire probably does layouts of the last 2 issues, and then other artists, Kevin West and Steve Carr, take over. But it's Captain America, The Adventures of Captain America, Sentinel of Liberty.
Oh, yes.
Prestige format, 4 issues. And it's an expanded retelling of his origin story. And, I know I got it because of Kevin Maguire. We're talking how many years after Justice League?
5 years after Justice League.
Yeah, so it's like, I'm gonna get it. That was the big draw, because I certainly wasn't ever a huge Captain America fan, but like it also was prestige format, which I was like, an expanded retelling of his origin. Bucky is in it, the whole scientists, and then there's like, of course, like Nazi super soldiers, and it's Kevin Maguire doing Captain America. The coloring is like not painted, but it's definitely it does a lot of molding for Kevin Maguire's artwork. It's like crazy, like 16 panel pages, and there's a female character in it that probably nowadays would be Peggy Carter, but it's not Peggy Carter, it's someone else. So I've wanted to read it again because I remember collecting it at the time, because I was like, I want to see if there's anything in it that might have shown up in Captain America First Avenger, the movie. Like, did they pull anything from this? Because I just don't remember.
Yeah, I don't remember it that well to be able to say that.
Yeah.
I do seem to remember hearing somewhere that in some recent Marvel media, the female character you just mentioned, or at least her name, was used.
Oh, okay.
I picked up copies of that at the Super Wild Pig Con at that Jersey Holiday Inn, however many years ago that was. So, and I too have never read it, but I'll get to it eventually.
I never really hear anybody talking about it. It's not like it was like under the radar, but it was just one of those, like we have another miniseries, and like here's a scene where they're participating in the like military races to, I guess, determine who would be the best fit for the Captain America project. And it kind of reminds me of some of the scenes that we saw in the movie, where they're all trying to determine which one is going to be manly enough to take on the mantle. So I'm really looking forward to it, because I was like, oh, I remember these. I remember really liking it, and hopefully I still do, but I think I will, because I like Fabian Nicieza. I like his stuff. And Kevin Maguire, it's like, come on. Yeah. That should be fun.
Yeah.
So that was probably the only thing I really would talk about the books that I got, because everything else was like, what do you want to hear me talk about? You want me to hear about a random Brave and the Bold issue I got, and like, a random Supergirl issue in 2005 that features Nightwing? Like, yeah, of course I'm going to get stuff like that. Like, doesn't mean anything.
Jane, did you read Transformers #1?
I read Transformers #1, yes. I enjoyed it. I liked that it very much followed what I remember of the first cartoon episode and really the first comic book from Marvel, but it was still different. They changed a few things in it. I thought the art looked really good. Wasn't
I love the artwork.
Quite crisp and clean like other Transformers comics, but it still looked really good.
Yeah, I have issue 2 waiting here, and I just got it. Issue 3 just came out today. Yeah,
Two is pretty good too.
I have to read 2 yet.
Yeah, we talked
I
about
have
it last time.
I do have the first issue of G.I. Joe, and I have to read that as well.
I think what's so interesting about this, because I'm also reading Void Rivals.
I am too.
And Adam, I wanted to tell you, like, I don't think this is what they're doing with. You know what Void Rivals is, right?
I've heard the title. I know it's what this whole Energon Universe they're doing is spinning out of. I don't know anything more about it than that.
It's basically 2 alien races who, in order to survive, created this giant ring around. Is it around the sun? I can't remember.
I can't remember what's around the sun.
But it's massive. It's like a colossal cosmic.
Like, think Dyson sphere, but a ring instead of the whole sphere.
Right. And it was a way for them to, like I said, survive, and they're at odds with each other. So of course, just like Enemy Mine, one of each race crashes onto a planet somewhere, and they have to work together. And that's where one of the Transformers, they find Jetfire, who's been in crashed for 1 million years, and then that leads to Transformers. So anyway, so when you learn about these 2 aliens, I won't give it away, but what they do have, this hasn't really factored into the story yet. They each have like a thing on their forehead, like a gem. And I was like, are they trying to make this a new version of Visionaries a little bit? Like, I know that the Visionaries has like the
they have the chest totems, and they have the staffs with the staves with the images.
I don't think it's what they're doing, but it just made me think of that. So anyway, that I just wanted to let you know.
I'm willing to read it against the grain that way if it preserves some spark of hope that my favorite Hasbro property is finally going to get back into comics.
Yeah, I don't think it is, but it is. I do like that series because you get other Transformer things in it, and you get other Hasbro things in it that I'm only sort of like, okay, I guess I should know what that is, but the Transformers issues, I remember when we talked about it, I said it about the first issue. Like, I'm really kind of surprised that they're going in on like the gore, I guess you want to say, like blood. And then I saw a preview for the Cobra Commander series, and it's like he's drawing Cobra Commander symbols in blood in the snow, and I was like, they ain't show blood on the cartoon. Like, what's going on here? Like,
but they did. So the cartoon versus the Marvel comics were very different. The cartoon was silly and campy and made to sell toys, and you had some of that in the comics too. But the comics did have plots and character growth and tragedy, and all kinds of things happened, especially in the first, maybe 85 issues. Before it got a little bit silly with Snake Eyes and the Ninja Force and all that. But at least the first 60 issues, there's a lot that goes on in those first 60 Marvel issues. So it doesn't surprise me. It is a little bit more bloody and graphic than what I would have been used to, but it makes sense in the straight-laced actual storytelling that they used to do in the Marvel books.
And I don't think it's grim and gritty. It's still kind of cartoon, like even in Transformers, it's kind of cartoony more than anything. But Bryan, you said you liked it.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah,
like a lot.
Yeah,
and I love the artwork.
Have you read anything else by Daniel Warren Johnson, you think?
I don't think so.
Yeah, he's really good at. He taps into the stuff that we like. So, like, he did a series called Murder Falcon, where kaiju monsters were spilling into our world, and people in our world have to find musical instruments that then channel heroes from that world to help fight. So then this former musician, like, he has a guitar that brings this murder falcon. He looks like a falcon. He looks like a cyborg Rambo falcon. And then, like, somebody else has a drum set and then that person gets an even bigger monster to help fight them. And it's like everything you love about if you grew up with like the Scooby Van, Power Rangers,
Blue Falcon?
The Falcon. Who's the Falcon?
Blue Falcon, Dog Wonder,
Oh, Blue Falcon.
Speed Buggy, Jabberjaw.
Not quite like those. Not quite like those. But you can just tell. And of course, he's very wrestling influence. I mean that he does a book called Do a Power Bomb, and he did a Wonder Woman Black Label book. I just really am starting to like the stuff he does. Like it's fun, and Transformers it's really good.
Yeah, I can't say I've read anything else that he did either, but that one that you just talked about with the kaijus, that sounds interesting.
Yeah.
Johnson's and his projects get a lot of votes every year during our CGS Best of Awards. So our listeners are hip to him, even if we're not.
Yeah.
So Shane, the G.I. Joe, that's still the same comic. It's not. It didn't start with number 1 again, right? It's
So,
like 301 or something.
301 is the first issue of G.I. Joe in this new iteration, written by Larry Hama.
And so, but you don't need to. Do you need to have known what happened in the other 300 issues? Or
I don't think so. I didn't read this issue 1 yet, but I did page through it, and I know at the end they give like little file card-esque descriptions of a bunch of characters. So I don't think you have to reread everything, because to me it's similar to what happened when even though it wasn't a continuation number wise, when Devil's Dues run ended, that ended with World War III, and then that was the last arc, and then you had Image coming next, or whoever came next and started it and brought Larry Hama in it. But I really think every time it jumps companies, they kind of start with the story, but I don't think they continued the direct story from the previous iteration. That's my impression. But kind of, sort of, in case they did, I did go out and buy the previous last story arc in a couple issues, so that if I read this first issue and was a little bit lost, I could go back and read whatever the last 7 or 8 issues of the previous series that I did get. And I want to read them just because they looked interesting, but my main impetus was really in case they are continuing it to this new series.
And then when the Duke and Cobra Commander issues come out, are they leading up to like a new G.I. Joe series that's separate from the Larry Hama? Or?
That I don't know, because to be honest, I expected to see the Duke and Cobra Commander before the G.I. Joe issue number 1. So when that came out and was solicited and we've received it already, I'm like, oh, well, that's kind of backwards compared to what I thought I was going to get. So I'm not sure. It would make sense to me if there was the Larry Hama verse and then a coinciding different G.I. Joe storytelling, because that's happened plenty of times in the last 15, 20 years.
I'm thinking that's probably what is going to happen. Like, I think the G.I. Joe series is because he just wants Larry Hama to continue to write G.I. Joe like he's been doing since 1980, whatever. And then maybe that's why they're doing the mini. I'm trying to look it up to see, because it's been a while since I don't remember if the Duke and the Cobra Commander are like sort of ancillary, or if they are technically like another G.I. Joe universe that, like you said, would then spin off into a new G.I. Joe 1. So, but it's the way Kirkman has been talking about all of these books, like, and the fact that he was like, yes, absolutely, Larry is going to be writing this. I feel like he's probably going to be very like at least reader friendly to catch us up, because I'm so oblivious to all this stuff, and at least the Transformers. I mean, that's kind of easy because it's based on the cartoon, which I used to watch. But the G.I. Joe stuff I want to read, and I'm sure I'm going to be like, I have no idea who this is. But I have to imagine they're going to help us out. Like you said, they have the back. And so I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah. And I expect, like, when you get to issue 321, that they're going to have some silent interlude nod or something to happen with that, because that seems to happen every go around with that number.
So they said next year there might be some expansion, but they're not going to try to overdo things. Like even Void Rivals is 6 issues, and then they're taking a break until March.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, they're
Wow.
gonna, so they're, I guess, trying to just parse it out so that we don't get too overwhelmed.
And it makes sense going along with the way, at least the way and I think Bryan would agree, is enjoying TV entertainment with these shorter, concise seasons of 6-8 episodes versus 20, where half of them are wasted and kind of superfluous anyway. So it makes sense to me that comics are kind of following suit, given that they've been writing for years to the trade mentality. So now you're having arcs of series like you're talking about. That makes perfect sense in my mind.
Want to do some CGS history since we just
Sure.
got a little lull here?
Certainly.
So this is for November and December. I touched a little on December dates before, but not to this level. I'm going to have to go back through some of the episodes to see which months I already did so we don't repeat ourselves. Although, people probably wouldn't remember anyway. I was surprised. November and December is interview heavy, but also like not much was going on. I don't know if it was because we were gearing up for a lot of end of year stuff. We're post convention season, so
Yeah.
it was a lot of just like sometimes just like a comic talk or issue 3 of, I don't know, Civil War, so it's like, I'm not going to say any of those because, that's just whatever. But we did get a lot of interview stuff. So this is 2005, November of 2005, episode 76. It was the first time we interviewed Maury Hollowell and Carly Carroll.
76.
Yeah. 77 was Joe Kubert.
That was a fun one. I remember that one.
We did a Crusaders commentary in that month. And we did a House of M special that month.
There's a VHS tape still over here on the shelf.
I just actually found some my sister's, she has like the sunroom with all this stuff, and I was like, those are Crusaders tapes. What the hell are they doing? It's like it's like the Gideon Bible of geekdom is going to show up. We should have done
Certainly
that.
had enough of them.
I was like, we should have done that while we were at all the hotels. We should have just
Left the
the
Crusaders
copy
tape,
and
yeah.
That would have been a good way to get rid of them.
My God, Jamie could have emptied his whole inventory of the garage back then.
Episode 79, we did a call me segment with Mario where he proposed to Jen.
God.
Awesome.
December 2005, these are all interviews. Episode 80, Timothy Truman. Episode 82, Gene Colan. Episode 83, Stan Lee. Episode 87, Paul Pope.
God, they were all really
That
good.
was like so many crazy interviews like in a row.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Also, as we go through the years, pay attention to the episode numbers to see how many we've just pay attention to the episode numbers. I thought that was
How
fun.
many we used to pump out in a week compared
to 2006. We're in 2006, November. Episode 200 was released on November 13th. That was the second live thing at CGS at Golden Eagle.
And I believe that weekend was the debut of the nickname Pants, which was mentioned on the episode.
Oh,
Yeah, I believe you're right.
from Brian's basement.
So that means
Yeah.
Pants and Puppet Rios are the same age. He's gonna be 17. Well, he just turned 17. We did a special on Annihilation 1 through 3. Episode 203 in November of 2006. We did a spotlight on Legion of Superheroes, and through the help of Pants, we got special guest Pete Calder on the show.
Oh my God, yes.
That was a great episode.
He was a lot of fun. December 2006, episode 209, we played trivia. It was All the Geeks Against Murd.
How'd that work out for us?
Not so well.
Did you win both? Did you win? I think we played more than one game. I can't remember.
I don't think I swept that series, but I held my own all right.
2007 in November, Episode 327 interviewed Gerard Way. Episode 329, Jim Salicrup. Episode 333, after two smaller appearances, we interviewed Jonathan Hickman once Nightly News wrapped up. So that's 2007 when he was doing his first series. Look where he is now.
Yeah.
December 2007, episode 335, Fantastic Four 2, Rise of the Silver Surfer movie review.
Wow.
What a simpler time for a movie.
Yeah.
Still haven't seen that movie.
Oh, no?
Might be better for it.
Yeah, you're not missing anything.
December 2007, episode 339, we interviewed Steve Niles. 340, we did a Let's Talk Shop with James Syme out in
San Francisco.
San Francisco.
348, we interviewed Jason Aaron, as he was writing Scalped at the time, and he was just moving over to Marvel to write Wolverine and Ghost Rider.
Wow.
This is the jump that makes me laugh. So that was 2007. 2008, November, episode 543.
Peak productivity back then.
We did 200 episodes between that year. Because December was 348 and we did 543. Oh my God.
That's bang on the money though. 5 times 52, right?
Yeah. 2008 November, episode 543, we interviewed J.K. Woodward. I think that's his first interview with us. I can't remember, but I think so.
Okay.
Then I'm going to jump to 2009, November 730, episode 734. We interviewed Matt Kint. And episode 753, we interviewed Abnett and Lanning.
Oh,
I remember that, to talk about the Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah.
And the first time that, this iteration of Guardians of the Galaxy existed, and how crazy it was that they put those weird characters together.
yeah.
That's wild.
The rest is history.
Yeah.
2010, November, episode 954. Again, another 200 episodes just about. Spinning out of Super Show, Sean Pryor and Dave Dwanch introduce Action Lab Entertainment.
Wow.
Which is sort of no longer around and stuck in a whole bunch of lawsuits and other things. Creators trying to get their properties back from whoever owns it now. Episode 965, with the help of Christopher Whitfield, we did Robotech's 25th anniversary of its U.S. release. December 2010, episode 974 was the very first introducing episode where we took 3 similar characters and talked about their first appearances. Do you remember who those first 3 were?
No.
If I say Magic.
Zatanna?
Close.
Zatara.
Another DC female. Magic. Who's Marvel's Magic dude?
Doctor Strange?
Doctor Strange, Madame Xanadu, and Spawn.
Oh, Madame Xanadu.
Wow.
Episode 979, December of 2010, Amy Reeder interview. 2011, November, episode 1155, voice actor Tom Kane. 2002, November, 1296 was the first round of comic titles coming out of Marvel Now.
Wow.
Which was Marvel's response to the New 52.
Yeah.
Those were pretty good books, some of those. Episode 1302, Spotlight on the Monkeys. I have to
That's right. I was in my element then.
2013, November, episode 1437 was the Thor Dark World movie review. And the last one here, December of 2013, episode 1444, Down in Fraggle Rock with Katie Cook and David Peterson.
That was a fun episode.
Celebrating their 30th anniversary.
Speaking of Katie Cook, did you guys see
Coming
Now,
home
she's been in the
soon.
hospital
Just
for the last
just got home. We're
weeks.
getting
Yes.
home. Yeah.
So thank God she's doing better, but she
Yeah.
couldn't walk and
I loved her little snippets of daily activity that she
Yes.
was posting.
The
Like,
ongoing
was getting
saga of the
together.
crazy roommate.
Yeah.
yeah. So I guess Katie Cook's posts on social media are just
Gold.
an absolute treasure, an absolute gold. Yes,
Absolutely.
yes.
Well, because the last time we talked, you said she was out of the, or things were better, so something must have happened, I guess. Pants.
Broke
Oh no,
both of her
she
feet.
just got out of the hospital, I believe, like either yesterday or today.
Yeah.
What did you say?
She broke both of her feet
Yeah. And
Oh,
has
but-
been in for what,
and has
20
been
some
in the
days.
hospital because it's like a whole thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ooh. Yikes.
I think one of her
Yeah, it
posts
wasn't
is
good.
10 toes go in, 8 to survivor, something like
Speaking of, well, you mentioned Dark World, Thor Dark World, which made me think of Loki, which made me think of the Loki TV show.
Yep.
And season 2 was awesome. If you haven't watched it, it was amazing. I don't have any idea what happened, but it was so good.
Oh, it was beautifully done.
Time travel stuff is always weird. Like, you're like, I think I understand, then you don't understand, and then you're just like, whatever. It was fun to watch.
Yeah.
I don't need to understand. But there was a bit, Shane, I don't know if you saw this, because I certainly didn't notice it when I was watching it, but on Ouroboros's belt,
Yep.
he's got the same thing from the Goonies.
Yep. When he was
That
Data.
so great. Yeah, and his baseball hat is hanging in the
From
shelf
Temple of
somewhere.
Doom. Yep.
Yeah.
I just caught wind of that. A buddy of mine sent it to me and said, "Hey, did you see this?" So I missed it during the show, but yeah, I got to go back and look at that again.
I mean, I don't think you could actually see it on the show. You'd have to be like really looking or something.
But yeah, that was really cool. So then I'm thinking, well, all right. So if this character is a time traveler, so he really was Short Round, he really was Data, and whatever other characters you could probably think of, something has to be in there. So this guy in this character in Marvel really was traveling through time, being all these people through Indiana Jones and Goonies, and
yeah.
it was a lot of fun.
I feel like I really want to have dinner with that guy. Like
Oh.
if I could have a beer with like one celebrity, right? Who would it be? I feel like I might just pick
Well,
him.
When he was winning the Oscar and everything for everything everywhere all at once,
Yeah.
I didn't realize that he was a stunt coordinator in the first X-Men movie until I was
Oh, I
watching
didn't know
interviews and stuff. He was doing all kinds of fighting choreography for many movies, but the first X-Men movie was one of them, and I'm like, oh my god, that's awesome. So if you go search some clips and stuff, there's things of him showing Hugh Jackman and different actors what to do for their fights. It was pretty cool.
Oh, that's cool. That is cool.
I just think he would be a pleasure to talk to.
Yeah.
He just seems like he'd be a lot of fun to hang out with.
Did you see Indiana Jones, Brian?
Oh yeah. I loved it. Like I really, really liked it.
I did too.
Like it basically was everything that I could have hoped for. And like I know there's people who are upset or whatever, and I'm like, I don't understand what you're upset about.
No.
It was like the core of Indiana Jones right there on a plate for you. And it was I thought we talked. Did we not talk about this on air?
We did, but you hadn't seen it by that point.
Oh.
You still hadn't
Well,
seen it.
the thing that
Oh.
I was just going to say that
We might have
maybe
talked
you and
about
I
it at
talked,
Merds.
oh yeah, we did. So what I thought was brilliant, right? It was like they have to keep advancing the timeline because he's getting older, right? So
Yeah.
like, okay, there's the scene in the beginning where they digitized him younger, and I thought that looked great. Like it was,
I did
it was
too.
very well done. But the parts, all of the scenes that they filmed and all of the locations were places. So like in the 60s, World War II was only 20 years ago, right? So like the boat that they were on only was a 20-year-old boat. I mean, half of us driving 20-year-old cars. Like,
Yeah.
big 20 years ago wasn't that long ago, right? Like, and they shot the scene in Marrakesh or whatever. It's like it looks the same as it did in the 40s, and so you never felt like you were in the 60s except for that super brief shot on the horse on like the parade right? But
In
then
New
they were
York
just
City.
running through it, which
Yeah.
felt also like an Indiana Jones scene, running through a chaotic parade. Like that felt Indiana Jones. So the rest of the movie was basically timeless, or not timeless, but felt like it was still in the 40s because all the scenery and all the set pieces were still things that would have existed in the 40s.
Yeah.
So it was very cleverly done because, like in the fourth film, it was very clearly a 1950s movie, like all about the Russians and all about the atomic age and everything. And so it really didn't feel like Indiana Jones because it was like, it's not the 1930s, 1940s. And then they sort of turned back the clock by using very smart sets and locations. So I really, really appreciated it.
Yep.
Yeah.
And the Millennium Falcon sound effect is in the the hyperdrive failure sound effect is in the scene in the end with the plane when the plane starts to not work.
Yep.
It's like and I'm like, oh, there it is.
Yep.
I was so excited. But the kids liked it. Tasha liked it. We all liked it. So I think it was a resounding success.
Well, and Phoebe Waller-Bridge she's a really good actress. Like I think,
Well, and at first, when I was listening to her, I couldn't place her voice. I'd known I'd seen her before, but I've heard that before, and I'm like, what is it from? And then come to find she played the droid in Solo, and I'm like, oh, well, that's where the voice comes from. That's
Did you
one
not
of my
see
most recent
Killing Eve?
What's that?
Killing Eve? You haven't seen Killing Eve?
I haven't seen Killing Eve yet. No.
So she wrote that, and then she wrote she co-wrote that last
James Bond
movie.
Yep.
And then she was in Fleabag,
which is fantastic.
Show. Oh,
that's
so
incredible.
good.
I didn't see that either.
Really, really good. That's
Fantastic.
only like
she won like a bunch of Emmys for that because she starred in it, wrote it, and produced it. It was tremendous.
Yeah.
She's a theater girl. I mean, that whole show started as like a theater piece, and then Fleabag, and then it became a TV show.
Yep.
So, yeah. The only thing I thought, well, there was two things about Indiana Jones the new one that I was like, so he kept saying that he was going to go see a friend. He was going to go see a friend. He was going to go see a friend, which turns out to be Antonio Banderas, who I did not even recognize when you're watching it.
I didn't either at first. I did later in the scenes, but not at first.
Yeah. But I was like, what a perfect opportunity that that friend could have been not Data. Could have been Short Round.
Yeah. Well, and even going around with her her sidekick, what was his name?
Yeah. Yeah. I know.
I thought maybe he would have mentioned, hey, I had a kid that followed me around, and Short Round was really great, but he moved on or something like that. But for all the little Easter eggs they threw in there, I was kind of expecting some kind of Short Round reference, but never happened.
Yeah.
I think I asked Shane this at the beach, but like in the Young Indiana Jones Chronicles, I don't remember if he was ever friends with a Greek, boat driver or whatever.
Yeah,
right?
I don't remember, and I haven't
Spanish
explored
boat
it.
driver or whatever. And it was like, oh, I wonder. We should go back and watch those episodes. Or did they just pull it out of the air, or was it actually a reference to something older? I don't know.
Be cool if it was.
And
it would be.
I also wanted the villain to be a little more like, it was so much more about the dial and then what happens with the dial, and that really great scene that he has with her on the boat where she says, what would you do if you could go back in time? And he turns around and says what he says about his son, which I was like, oh God,
that was killing me.
Yeah. But there, as good as Mads Mikkelsen, and I he was like just sort of like the villains are important. You still remember the one from Raiders that gets his hand burned, and
tough.
The one I guess I remember more the girl from the third one than I do the guy villain. The one that they both sleep with, and
yeah.
Ilsa. Yeah. But yeah, it's good. It's good. I forget who I was talking to, and they said they hadn't seen it yet, and I was like, you should. It's worth it. It's really worth it.
Yeah. And I said it before, it's not going to blow your doors away as far as breaking new ground, but I didn't need that. I just needed a good, fun story, a good, fun time. And it gave me all of that.
And there's like, there's sometimes I would stop and go, Yeah, Spielberg probably would have done this, just that little extra magical thing, but for what's the guy's name? He did Logan. He did Logan. He did who's the director? James Mangold, because James Mangold does good movies. Logan is really, really good.
I still have not watched Logan for a second time.
Oh, I was going to say for a first time?
Oh, no. I loved it. I made the mistake, and this is my own stupidity. So that came out the week that my dad passed away, and we had the funeral. And I went and saw it the day after his funeral. And I got out of the theater. I got in the car, and I lost it. I was bawling for like a half hour. And I'm like, nope, I can't watch that anytime soon.
Come on.
I bought the Blu-ray when I found it on sale, and I downloaded the digital copy, and I can't do it yet. I haven't watched it. I loved it. It was great. But I haven't watched it yet.
He did Ford versus Ferrari, which is just such a good movie.
That's a great movie.
And then he did Walk the Line, which is one of my favorite.
That's a good movie too. Yeah.
Is that Johnny Cash?
Yes.
I didn't watch that yet. With Joaquin Phoenix?
Oh, so good.
Reese Witherspoon.
Very good.
I think my mom loved that. She watched that a few times.
It's the movie that made me see Reese Witherspoon in a new way. Like I was like, oh, she's got it. Yeah, she does got it. Yeah.
Okay.
It's really, really worth watching.
Has anybody watched any of that new Godzilla show on Apple TV?
No, not yet.
I watched the first 2 episodes. It's good.
Yeah.
It's good. Yeah.
I love that whole franchise. Like Godzilla versus Kong was just stupid fun. I just saw the trailer for the new one, and Skull Island, and just they're fun.
And did you know that it's Kurt Russell's son playing young Kurt Russell on the show?
No.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
So that's pretty cool.
That's
so the
cool.
World War II version of Kurt Russell is played by Kurt Russell's son.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. There's a scene.
That's awesome.
There's a scene in it that somebody showed online. I won't say what it is, and they explained it, and I was like, oh, that's cool. Like, okay, that's a good way to introduce the character. The same character,
But I didn't know because I didn't realize who he was. But Kurt Russell's son is the guy who played like the new Captain America on the Falcon show.
Oh,
like the guy they got to be, the captain, the white guy who they got to be. Yeah,
I didn't realize that.
I didn't realize that either.
Huh?
But that's Kurt Russell and Goldie Hawn's son. Yeah.
Wyatt Russell.
Wow.
Yeah.
Plays U.S. agent. Yeah.
I did see, and I marked it to watch it again at some point, but I didn't start it yet. When it came on to Max, was the Blue Beetle movie. No, I went to the theater and saw it, and I personally would have done things differently just because of how I like that family of characters. And like so many things lately, it didn't do well at the box office, but the article I read the other day said it's doing gangbusters on streaming. That lots of people are watching it, which is good, making me think that it has some longevity in life beyond the theater. But I was kind of pleasantly surprised to read that. Hopefully it's true and more people see it, because I would do things a little different, but I did enjoy it, and it was a very well done family fun kind of movie that you could really just go and have a good time with.
Yeah, and it's done better than people think it was going to turn out to be. Like, I think the special effects are actually pretty good.
Oh yeah, I think they are.
And I think I saw it after I watched Quantum Mania, and I was like, Quantum Mania was like, just stabbed me in the eyes. Like, just some of those special effects were not good.
No.
But I was like, this movie's actually better than I think it should have been. And I think that's probably why I enjoyed it. Plus the whole, there's all kind of like allegories to immigration and ICE coming and, stealing, breaking families and stealing, you know what I mean? Like everything that Victoria Cord was doing. And, and it's really spot on in terms of likenesses of straight out of the comics. Like Carapax looks like Carapax from the 80s. I was like, that's awesome. Like his suit, like it's so cool. And I really like Cholo, the guy who plays Jaime Reyes. I love Cobra Kai. And
I have to watch that yet too. I'm still in the first season of that.
Shane, come on.
There's too many things to watch.
No, stop everything and watch Cobra Kai. You are going to love it. Season 5 is
5. Oh my god.
Yeah, there's a scene in season 5 that I was like, I just was total fanboying over. Like, it was just so good. That's so good. Yeah.
Have you been? I've just finished season 2 of Moonlighting.
Oh, so you kept going.
I'm into season 2 of Moonlighting.
Oh, it's on Hulu now.
Yeah.
It's on
Yeah,
Hulu.
yeah.
I'm almost done season 2 of Moonlighting.
It's so good.
Yeah, oh my god, it's so much
good.
fun. And
it's way
I have
deeper than I thought it was. Like, I mean, I was a kid, right? But like, they touch on some like heavy duty subject matter.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
an episode all about God. Like,
Yeah.
she doesn't believe in God and he does, and they're fighting about it the whole episode, in between being funny, you know. And then there's about death and suicide and all this stuff, and it's like, whoa, this show was deep. And they break the fourth wall in like every episode.
Oh yeah, yeah.
They're always doing these cutesy things where they're like, and cut to commercial or whatever. Say, oh, and the audience already knew that, you know, or whatever. They say stuff, and it's like, oh, I didn't remember them doing that so much.
Yeah,
like, I knew it happened, but not like almost every episode.
And not that they will be on these in any capacity, but if you can go on YouTube and catch the bumpers or the commercials for a new season, they do a lot of that. That is so hilarious. Yeah. Now I've watched my first and second season Blu-rays multiple times. I'm sorry, DVDs multiple times over the last, 15 years, however long I've had them. So I'm anxious. I didn't want to just jump into the third season. I wanted to watch the first 2 again and then continue. So I'm anxious to get to where I don't have DVDs and see some of those episodes again.
Yeah.
There's a guy I'm friends with that I met through the DC forum boards when the DC app first came out, and we talk quite often on Facebook, and he just finished all of Moonlighting from Hulu. I'm like, oh, you bugger, you're so far ahead of me.
Yeah, I can't do it that fast.
It's just too much. I mean, I'm going back, and I always have to have something that's sort of like a palate cleanser, you know? So I'm like, I'm like on Seinfeld season 5. That's easy, you know, because it's like just quick and easy, you know.
Yeah.
But I also went back on, what is it on? Starts with a P, or maybe it's Tubi. I don't remember. One of the two. Three's Company.
Oh,
what's that?
Pluto TV?
Yeah, Pluto, yes,
maybe.
thank you. Three's Company.
That's such a great show.
Which the first season's only 6 episodes. You know, I used to watch that show as a kid. I love John Ritter, but I'm actually really surprised at how funny it still is to this day. You know, the acting's kind of not always what it is, but you can forget it because it's 70s acting, right? Like they're doing a comedy show in the 70s, you know, but just laughing, like really laughing at some of the jokes. It's clearly offensive, you know, probably today because of, you know, Roper and all his gay jokes towards Jack. But Chrissy's really funny. She's not just a dumb blonde, you know, she's actually really funny in her way. Jack is amazing. John Ritter is amazing. I'm having a really good time watching that. I'm like, oh my God, I'm so glad I went back.
Yeah, that show still holds up.
Yeah, and just, you know, that's a good one. Yeah. Bryan, did you watch Flash?
Not yet. No.
Oh, okay. I was a little worried we were going to end on a sour note, so I'm glad you didn't watch it.
Like when I sit down, you know, and I have precious time, do I really want to waste it? Like, I don't, you know.
I don't blame you.
Just watch the Michael Keaton parts. They're the good ones anyway.
I mean, I could put it on while I'm crafting because, like, when I'm doing leather work, I only half glance at the TV, so I could just sort of listen to the Flash. I don't know.
That would work. Did you, speaking of TV stuff, and maybe this is a downer note to end on, did you see Pants Norman Lear passed away?
I did see that today, yes.
100 years old, right?
101.
101, yeah.
101, yeah.
Yep.
I can't really be that sad when someone dies at 101. You know?
Oh, yeah. No, and I loved the little vignettes we got over the last few years with them redoing shows with current actors, but he was always there and talked a little bit about it before the show started. And that was a lot of fun.
I mean, his entire biography or his work, all his repertoire. Yeah. Like it's everything I grew up with. You all grew up like, I mean, just amazing the TV shows that he, you know, like there's a thing here. Like he had All in the Family, Sanford and Son, Maude, and Good Times, and the Jeffersons all in, at some point together. Then One Day at a Time, I remember that one.
Yep.
Let's see what
Mary
else.
Tyler Moore. He did, right?
Facts of Life. Different Strokes.
Different Strokes, yeah. I don't see Mary Tyler Moore.
Mhm.
Is it Mary Hartman? Mary Hartman? Is that? No.
Oh, I thought he did Mary Tyler Moore. Did he not do it?
Oh.
think so.
It's not in his bio.
Oh, well, maybe not then.
Maude. Did I say Maude already? Yeah.
Yeah.
Just, and then the new version of One Day at a Time it was really good as well.
Yeah, that was really good. I watched. I didn't finish it, but I watched quite a few episodes. First season, that was really well done.
Yeah, and I mean, like they're Cuban American. I think. I think they're Cuban. Yeah. Yep. But there were just some things in there. Like I had my mom watch it. Well,
yeah,
because I had seen the first season. And I was like, Mom, you got to watch this. I mean, first of all, it's got Rita Moreno.
Rita Moreno. Yeah.
Like, come on, she's great.
God, I love her Muppet Show episode. Oh.
There's a point
so
where she's
an animal doing Fever together.
she's talking to her daughter who was in the military, and they're also having a conversation, speaking of Moonlighting, about faith and God. And the daughter was like, because she was in the military, how, blah, 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 blah. And Rita Moreno goes in on her and like, of course there is, because I prayed for you every day while you were, and she's like in it. And it just culturally, I remember conversations with my mom about some of that stuff, but hearing how spiritual my grandmother was, and like my mom, even if I don't necessarily have those beliefs, they have them, and it's like they have them for reasons, and that's what Rita Moreno was kind of saying.
Yeah,
I lost it. I was like, whoa! Like it just went to these places in several of those episodes. The whole thing with the young girl and her dad, and the whole quinceañera thing. Like if you know the show, like choo.
That's really cool. You got your mom to watch it.
Oh yeah, she watches. I make her watch all, like John Leguizamo did Latin History for Morons or Dummies or something like that. It's on Netflix. I had her watch that. And there's a new Sofia Vergara movie coming out in January where she's playing a real life drug mob woman in Florida in the 70s or 80s called Griselda, I think it's called. And she just looks like a badass in that.
Wow.
So it's a new drama series. Okay. Yeah. Where I think from the trailer, I mean, it's based on a real story. She used women to get into the drug. So strippers would help pass the drugs. So of course she's probably going to sell more because it's coming from women, and she was using women, but she also had a family, so that pissed off all the other drug people, and then they go after her, so then she goes after them. It just looks, and it's Sofia Vergara, right? You don't think she's going to play that heavy of a role.
Yeah,
it looks good. It looks pretty good. Yeah,
keep an eye out for it.
January, I think. Yeah. Any last thoughts? We probably won't get together before. What'd you say?
I said it's bedtime.
Yeah.
I got 2 hours yet.
Any Christmas thoughts or holiday thoughts? And so I'm sure, or New Year's, we won't be together and before that.
Merry Christmas, happy ho ho ho.
Humbug.
Humbug.
You're a mean one, Mr. Grinch.
Thanks, I appreciate it.
Adam, survive your
Abudo race.
Survive the barn.
Yep. I'm hoping to make my trek out there yet this year.
Okay, well, I saw Shauna and her family on Thanksgiving.
I actually pointed one of my coworkers in your direction. She is a huge Christmas buff. She has 9 Christmas trees in her house. And I said, "Oh my God, have you ever been here?" And she's like, "No, I've never heard of that." I'm like, "How have you never heard of that? Here, go here.
Look at the billboards. Come on."
Yeah,
they're all over.
They're
I see
all over.
422 near Penn Avenue, and there's another one. Yeah.
All right, so well, thanks for punting the business our way there, Shane.
Heck yeah! So if someone comes up and says, "Hey, I know Shane," that's who it is. So I said, "Look out for this guy. Look out for if you see this person, that's his mom, and go say hi and say my name. Do this." So yeah, hopefully she finds you. She'll be like a kid in a candy store.
Yeah, well, she's 9 trees. I'm sure she's got room for a few more ornaments.
Oh yeah,
happy to fill that need.
Yep.
Does she want a Chewbacca?
Just give her a hook.
All right. Episode.
Speaking of giving the hook, let's get off the stage.
Ghost? What's happening?
Who's going?
Who's coming
room?
in?
Yeah, sorry, it's that mysterious plaid specter behind me. That was my dad. He's rattling around in the background, filling out paperwork and counting the beans and all that. Plus, he gave me a cupcake.
Oh.
Ooh, very nice.
This I'm keeping.
And now I want that to be the title. Plus, he gave me a cupcake, and they'll have no idea what the title is.
It will not come up once in the episode, but
I don't know that.
Can we just save that title for the next episode, even if it has nothing to do with anything? Oh my god!
a new $1 million catchphrase.
I'm just thinking it's gotta go in there somewhere.
Just do a picture of Murd holding a cupcake from the episode.
Oh my god! Oh my god! I don't know why that was so funny.
The delivery.
Look, he gave me a cupcake.
All right.
There's DoorDash right there with the cupcake.
Oh my god!
That's great.
Brilliant.
Oh,
Classic. All right, y'all.
Oh,
Fun times.
wow. I haven't laughed that hard in a long time.
Cool.
oh my God.
Be well.
Thanks, guys.
All
Like I said,
right.
if we do or don't do that episode. So good night.
And if we don't, Merry Christmas.
Yeah, Merry
All right,
Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
And happy birthday, Bernadette, as well.
Yes, happy birthday.
Thank you.
Ciao.
Right.
Everybody.